All right, number one's Pearl Jam. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Peace out.
No. No, if you need us to talk about Pearl Jam, you haven't been listening to the show. And as we sit here talking to you right now, we've got 3,994 current subscribers to the channel. So I think a fair amount of you know that we love Pearl Jam. This is a lot of personal preference, obviously. I'm going to give you a minute to talk about Pearl Jam if you really need to. But I think we should end the podcast talking about the one glaring omission that I kind of added while we were talking, and just see where we think they should have been on the list so that people don't scream at us.
All I'll say about Pearl Jam, that because I'm not going to try and retread a lot of things I've said already, but truly, Dark Matter has solidified. It was such a revelation of what a great late era Pearl Jam album could be. And when I think about 10 coming out in 1991, and here we sit in 2024, and I'm listening to a Pearl Jam album, geeked out, I'm buying merch. I bought a ticket to go see them live off the aftermarket because I got shut out from buying from them. But I'm inspired by this band again. I feel like a teenager again in how I feel about this album. And that to me just took that longevity stance of it and put it over the top. I will say, though, that their peak as well is sort of underrated. I think people overlook today how huge and influential Pearl Jam was the day Versus came out. When Versus came out, I would say that was their peak in terms of power, influence, and status. It broke Use Your Illusion's record for most albums ever sold in a week. It launched them as the biggest band in the world. They had surpassed Nirvana at that point in terms of the most popular band in the world. It was massive. And so they have the peak, they have the longevity.
So let me add on to your peak there, because you and I have talked about this before. It's Yes versus and when they played the VMAs and played Animal, and then introduced an entire new generation to Neil Young. They used their platform to prop up one of their heroes in the middle of their peak. That right there, that was putting it all out there on the table and saying, "Hey, everybody, look how big ours are."
Yep. Yeah, and they did their thing. They've stayed pretty true to who they are. I have issues with their fan club, yes, but the band themselves, I just really love and appreciate that they are musically and ideologically mostly the same band that they've always been. And I think to do it for that long and to still be able to put out an album as strong as Dark Matter, that's why they're my number one.